You seated in this room could potentially be the bottleneck for your own growth. If you had to remove yourself from a daily operations for 2 weeks, that one you already told me what would fail. Some of you told me yourselves. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm used to saying good morning and good evening. I normally talk to a lot of global leaders, so I say sometimes good evening, but now today I just say good morning. And by the way, some people were asking to they connect online. So I said, well, I don't know if Attic is heading there, but I know they meet in person. So please consider people who are not able to make it in the interest of people who are out of Nairobi, right? Oh, there, it's recorded, so they can be able to catch up. Okay, fantastic. All right, so I'm very curious, extremely curious about something just before I start. And maybe just let me say, my husband joined me and my son just to be able to see how he can experience this as well. So I'm happy that you're able to invite both of us. So thank you so much. So let me ask all of you in this room, have you ever been employed before? Or you went on straight and decided, we are going to be creating employment in Kenya? Have you been employed, some of you? All of you? Before, or some of you haven't? How many have never ever been employed? Like went straight up, started business? So about maybe 20%. Okay. If you have never ever been in an office space and you went to create your own, what is your reference point in terms of what structure looks like? How have you been winging it? Food for thought. Okay? Just food for thought. I'll come back to that. Now, today, my session is on performance with people. But how I looked at this session as we are coming in, I wanted us to take a different perspective around people. And so how then do we design those spaces? How do we win with people? How do we win with each other? We are here as people, right? And so we're going to look at then how then do we align the talent, which is the people, the systems, and the strategy. That's how we're going to look at it. And so allow me to start with a story. Okay? Let's move to the next slide and start with a story. McKenna is a lady around 28 years, which she should be seated somewhere here, around 28 years. And this is a real story, by the way. I met McKenna a couple of years ago. And McKenna was a tenacious person, full of grit, very excited. And you know, when I was looking at the pillars of Attic, and I saw Swarm, what was the Swarm was? Actually, I had written it down. Strong word of mouth, the referrals. When I looked at TOM in terms of remaining top of mind, when I looked at Watu wa Nguvu, these were all the things that McKenna was leveraging on when she was building her business. She was very excited using the power of social capital, and she believed in social capital more than financial capital. Nothing was impossible for McKenna. She was a go-getter. She was going at it. And whenever she would find a problem along the journey when she's defining her business, what did she used to do? She used to say, I am possible. It is not impossible. I will go back and recreate. So what did she used to do? She used to retreat, go back and find a way to solve it using her power of social capital networks. So one of the challenges she had, because she was scaling too fast, doing quite a number of businesses at the same time, but she was employed at that time. She was employed. So when I say the word but, it kind of negates it. So it means it was taking away part of her time when she's doing her business. But then she decided, I can have it both ways, because she needed her employment to boost her capital so that when she's investing in business, she has the money. So what did she do? Amongst her church friends, she had a few church friends who said, look, I can help you. So she took one. Why? Because you're always told, hire somebody you can trust, right? Is that what you hear? Hire somebody you can trust. And she knew, well, this is my church friend, somebody in my prayer group. I can be able to trust this individual. Tunaomba pamoja. Huyu mtu hawezi nirusha. Si ndio? Bas. Then she had this cousin who they were BFFs. And she connected with this cousin so much. She knew hii shida itarudi nyumbani. This was her mother's sister's daughter. So that's her first cousin. So she knew, I can't mess up if I'm with my cousin. Right? So she knew she had a good team going and her business scaled up and she was happy. Then all of a sudden, she started having challenges. So McKenna comes to me and tells me, Ayoti, what do I do? I asked her, what is the problem? She said, clients are complaining, they are frustrated, like we are not meeting deadlines, we are procrastinating too much. Somebody talked about procrastination, procrastinate today and make 3 o'clock the following day, and the following day don't procrastinate anymore, right? I caught that. I'm also a procrastinator, but I've taken that lesson. Good. So she decided to figure out what the issue is. So when she came to me, remember, social capital, right? I asked her, she told me, clients are frustrated. So I asked her exactly what is happening. Things were all over the place. Deadlines were not being met. I asked her one question. How do you know when you have succeeded in whatever targets you've met? She looked at me. Because there are so many balls they're juggling in the air. Remember, she has these mabeshtes who are in her team, right? Who are giving her time and supporting her. So I asked her, then how are you able to measure that success if you don't know what it is? She couldn't figure it out. So we just restructured a few things in that business. That's what we call organization design in the world that I come from. And she did not have to hire any more people. She did not have to implement any new systems, maybe go bring up machines and that kind of thing. No. She did not have to do much, but she just had to redesign what she had. By doing what? Having clear job descriptions for these two individuals who are supporting her so that she knows where ownership and accountability begins. She knows the neck to choke whenever something does not happen. So if a client is complaining, it's not all of us who have the issue. Who dropped the ball? That's what McKenna had to do. And now McKenna is able to scale because she now has a system rather than a sole proprietorship. Who knows about Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant? EBSI? You've read that book? What does it say? We have the E quadrant, which is for the employee. We have the B quadrant for business. S is for sole proprietorship, and I is for investor. A lot of us are aiming to go to the investor quadrant, correct? Where we will become like Warren Buffett. Money will be working for us when we are doing what? When we are asleep. We do not know an alarm clock. We do not know nothing. No wake-up call. Money will be working for us. That's where we are aiming to be. Now, a lot of us here are in what I call businesses that a lot of times are almost sole proprietorship. When I say almost sole proprietorship, how many of us have taken 2 weeks straight up leave out of their businesses? Hands up. Like you take leave, 1, 2, 3. Like you take leave, like switch off your phone, go to the Maldives, and you're not answering your phone. That is why we are not able to do that because, and by the way, in the employment law, we are all required to take 2 weeks of uninterrupted leave. Did you know that? Lawyer, Mr. Lawyer, remind me your name? Gitao. Is there something like that in the law? That we have to take 2 weeks uninterrupted leave as employees? Okay, you had him. So you are an employee in your own business. Did you know that? So we need to be able to restructure, and I'm hoping by the end of this session, we are going to figure out how do I take uninterrupted leave from my own business? How do I take time off to refresh, to reboot, to come back so that I can accelerate and take off, right? That should be one of our goals. And it doesn't have to be 2 weeks. You can start by 3 days, then you can start by 4 days, then you take 1 week. I've worked with a lot of founders, and one of the things I was challenging Ruigu is we should have a founders syndrome session. Remember we had that conversation. I've worked in 3 organizations which I went in, which had been founded 30 years ago, and I was brought in to come and implement best practices, maybe because they've been bought by a French organization or been bought by a British organization. At Scan Group, I did that. I did that at Schneider Electric to be able to, and I can tell you it is harder to rejig. And that's why I was telling him about this session, because from my experience, founders, even me, I'm a founder in my own space, tunakalia kiti na tunaikalia proper, true? And we imagine without us being there, nothing will move. So that is McKenna's story. Now I want us to borrow a leaf from McKenna's story. Now this McKenna story happens to be a true story. Guess who McKenna is? Yeah? I was McKenna at the age of 28. And I made a lot of mistakes. I'm continuing to make them, but right now I am aware. I know when I'm making a mistake. So that McKenna was me, right? But I made so many changes because I realized for you to do the several businesses, because it's scriptural that we must have at least 7 income streams. And I'm still employed. I cannot do them and be employed at the same time. I have to make sure I do what? I create systems so that I move into the B quadrant because I'm aiming for the I quadrant. So right now I'm a little bit on the B quadrant, not so much on the S quadrant, right? But I'm targeting the I quadrant. That is when I'll start sleeping and retire early so that I leave these job spaces for you and your siblings. True? Good. All right. Cool. So let's continue. Now, so if your business doubled clients in the next 60 days, today you have double clients. I want us to discuss for a minute, and I hope it's going to be an interactive session, right? You're going to be able to indulge me? Fantastic. So if your business doubled in the next 60 days, what do you think is going to break? Why you? Capacity? What else? Enough? Efficient systems? Your bank? It will overflow. Later tukusaidie. We can keep for you some. Yeah? What else? What else? I want us to link it also, as we're thinking about that, I want us to link it on 3 things. Let's look at the talent, let's look at the systems, and let's look at the strategy. What will happen if your business doubled? In the next 60 days, you have double business coming through. Because we want to be able to increase capacity. Because one of the things I'm hoping today, even as we discuss performance with people, we have to see how we can scale up. Scalability is what we are looking for, right? We are looking for growth. And scalability is at the center of talent, systems, and strategy. So indulge me some more. What happens on the people side? What happens on the people side? Somebody talked about capacity. Someone else talked about skills. What happens to you, the leaders? What will happen to you? What do you think you need to reposition in your mind to be ready for that growth? You know, it's even scriptural. It says, that one who was given 1 talent and hid it. You know the parable of the talent? What happened to that person who was given the 1 talent and hid it? It was taken away. And what were they called? Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Some other references call the person foolish. It wasn't an insult. It was a fact. So I want us to be aware and prepare ourselves for scalability. Do you believe you have the right leadership effectiveness to acquire that business? If today it's going to double, do you believe you're ready? Food for thought. Are you ready? You're ready? You're ready to take on that business? Fantastic. So let's move to systems. What will happen to the systems? Are your systems ready to double that scale? We are thinking. Yeah? I'm remembering what to do, but I might not remember the name. You're talking about your fashion design brand, right? You're thinking about it. Are your systems ready? They're not ready. So food for thought. And I'll leave us with reflective questions, which I'm hoping they will help you to unpack this even further, even after this hour that we are spending together. So let's talk about our automation. Let's talk about the documentation. Let's talk about the institutional memory. If the oldest employee in your team today left, and that oldest employee is yourself, if you are leaving to go focus in another business, will that business survive? That is what we're talking about today. Now let's talk about strategy. If that business coming to you is not in line with your vision, I'm assuming we all have a founder's vision, right? We're very clear in terms of where we are going. If that vision is not in line, are we ready to say no? Or are we going to look at the money and say, oh my God, I can't leave this money on the table? Are we ready to say no? You will take the business, even if it's distracting you from your vision. Even if there's a mission drift there, you will still take it, right? Because it's money on the table, right? And so the question is, are you doing your business for the commercialness only? Or are you in your moment of ikigai? Do you know what ikigai, the moment of ikigai is? Are you in your moment of purpose where you connect with exactly what it is that you are trying to do in terms of contributing, or are you doing for your own selfish gain? Food for thought, right? So, now as we move to the next part, I just want us to appreciate that we don't scale alone. We have to leverage on these 3 points. And it's extremely important, you will see in the slides that follow. What happens here is, in the next slide, we are going to focus on talent, which is us, but it's not the only thing. There's a reason why the 3 come together. It's not the only thing. Now, you seated in this room could potentially be the bottleneck for your own growth. And you know why? When you're not able to unpack your vision for your team. You're not able to delegate effectively. You're not able to identify the right teams that come with you. Somebody asked a question, and I'd asked for these questions to just understand your train of thought. Somebody asked a question, what is one of my leadership, are you able to read for me the question, Ryugo? I think I had written it, so sorry, at the end it's okay. I will just tell you. Something I believed early in my career that has changed. You know what I believed early in my career and that has changed is I believed that strong leaders have all the answers. That's what I used to believe. So I used to say, I want to be strong. I want to be an alpha female. And I'm born a choleric. So I became a double choleric. I used to be a doer, an overachiever. I do everything by myself. I can somewhat kind of do that because I'm somewhat impatient. So if I give someone a task to do and they're dragging their feet, because me, I know time waits for no one, right? Me, I'll take it and do it. And the teams I used to lead, they used to struggle. You know why? I give you a task, and the second, third day I see you're not moving, me, I start doing it on the side. So by the time you're coming with you as late, me, I already did it. So I'm not paying attention to what you're doing. But then I realize I'm not helping the team because I'm not helping them to grow, because I'm not also opening up their minds and I'm not empowering them. So I have changed. But the reason why I wanted to share this lesson, it's because I have come to understand sooner that you have to hire people who are smarter than you. Hire people who are smarter than you. Do not fear competition. Again, it is another lesson for the week. I had somebody say, we are not competing, we have to collaborate. Somebody said something like that. Actually, because I was writing them down, somebody said, what was the exact words? Don't compete, but complement each other. That was extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Don't compete, but complement each other. In here, in this room, I have heard of so many fashion entrepreneurs. I've heard of so many digital marketers. So I'm sure you're all sideballing each other and asking, okay, that person is doing the same thing I'm doing. There's enough for everyone. How about collaborating and what we call co-opetition, right? You collaborate and you're not competing, so you co-op. So basically, 2 is better than 1. And that's why even God designed marriage, right? So do not look at each other and say they're doing what I'm doing. No, you have a unique idea. You bring somebody else as a unique idea. Sometimes take gigs together. And it goes back to my question of, if your business doubled today, what sort of people will you leverage? They are here in this room. Come back here and say, by the way, I have this gig. I need to be able to do X, Y, Z. Can we partner? Because it helps you to scale. Because it shows you that you have the capacity to take on more, right? So I learned, hire people who are smarter than you. So it goes back to our hiring when you're looking for talent. Do not hire somebody you can teach. You know, there's a reason why these 5 fingers do not all measure the same, right? This middle one is longer. You know why? If you look at all the people you hang around, they say you're a sum total of your 5 closest friends, right? Your inner circle. If you're the clever one, you're the smart one, you're the one who's giving ideas, always, you've outgrown that circle. You need to refresh. You have to make sure at least 2 people in that inner circle are smarter than you. Then the other 2 people, you are pouring in them. Okay? So while you receive, you give. Remember, we have to breathe in these relationships. Don't always be receiving. You will suffocate. Don't always be giving. You will be weak and frail. You'll have nothing more. You cannot give what you don't have. If you went to the ATM and you withdrawn all the 10K you had, will you still go back to the hole in the wall and ask, hey man, where's my money? You have to give in more, right? So please, let's make sure we hire right. Do not hire out of ubeshte. Do not hire because that was a person I met in church, so they look very kind. Do not hire the person because they had a very sweet voice on the phone and they sounded convincing. Look at whether they are aligned in terms of the culture you're trying to build in your space. I can tell you, with the employment law today, and again, I'm going to look at our lawyer in the room, it is more difficult to disengage employees today more than it was before. It is harder. There's something called constructive dismissal. They resigned, but they'll still sue you. Constructive dismissal. You made the environment very toxic for me. I could not work here. You will pay 1 year salary. Is it 1 year salary? You will pay. Do you have 1 year salary to pay somebody who you fired? Okay. Do you have time to go through a whole PIP process, 3-6 months, and it's very draining? So hire right. Assess the culture. The other thing that's extremely important is look at the ownership. And this is where, for me, I look about not just doers, but I look at attitude. Attitude is the only word that I know in English that measures 100. If you take A as 1, T is like somewhere 20, I is what? Spell the word attitude and put the numbers aside it, or on its side. It's 100, not knowledge, not education, not degree, not PhD, not all that. Attitude, hire attitude. Because if you hire the right attitude, the person comes to work holistically. There's something called intrinsic motivation that comes from the gut. They don't show up because they have a salary to earn. No. They come and they actually carry on the business with what I call an intrapreneurial spirit. You know what an intrapreneurial spirit is versus an entrepreneurial spirit? They manage the business as if it was their own. They feel your pain points. They connect with you in a way as if they were part of the business when you started it. So hire for attitude, right? Do not hire for degrees. I have nothing against education. But do you know how many graduates we have in this country every year? Over 800,000. But there are only 55,000 jobs. So they're probably taking that job because there's nothing else they can do. Don't hire because somebody is qualified. Hire because they can connect with the vision you have, and they will help you to carry that vision. The last thing I'm just going to say is, you see those red flags early, and there could be behavioral issues, right? What you do, if you're hiring somebody, don't just do formal checks. Do informal checks. Go online. Check them out. Do you know we check you guys out before we hire you? We check you out. We look at what you've been writing on Twitter, what you've been writing on Insta, on Facebook, all those. Okay, the only one I don't know how to do is this other one, TikTok. That's the one I don't know how to do. But we check you out. We check the stuff you're saying. Because it kind of tells me who you are in terms of how you show up. Mimi siambiagwi. See, there's even a t-shirt. Hamuya hamwa, hamwa buagwi. I don't know hamuya buagwi. That one. See, we say that, right? Sipanguingwi. Sipanguingwi. My Friday is my Friday. I want to show up and leave whenever. So if you have a meeting, talk to the hand. What are those other things we normally say? I know you Gen Z is how you show up. What are those other things we say? My time is my time. Do you have to see me in the office? I will do what I need to do. You need to trust me, right? Don't worry. I'll get it done. Now, in your own businesses, are we applying the same? Munapanga ka wengine? Muna, what is that thing he said? Siambio? Sipanguingwi, munapanga? And so now when you come to work, why do you refuse to be pangwad? Anyway, you don't have to be pangwad, but you know, as we move to the next one, you'll see. So one of the things that in terms of the 3 shifts I just wanted to share with you is, so we need to move from a founder, and by there I might go over time, so you'll please kind of signal me, because sometimes I get carried away. So we need to move from a founder's syndrome which is a hero, to a founder who is an architect. Yes, we already know you're the hero of your business, you birthed it, but become an architect who basically designs and co-creates things, and you have the structure. The other thing you need to do is move from hiring just anyone who can help to be very specific on what I told you, and we have to move from the hustle mentality to look at skills, mindset, and accountability. And so I have some reflection questions here, which I'm just going to leave you with to reflect, and maybe you can be able to, if you need to talk to me later after this session, and maybe you just need to unpack some of these questions, I need you to actually answer these 2 questions for yourself. If you had to remove yourself from your daily operations for 2 weeks, that one you already told me what would fail. Some of you told me yourselves will fail. That's a very critical one. The other one is, what's the next leadership capability your business needs that you don't yet have? Now, in both these 2 questions, there's something about sustainability of what you're creating in terms of the talent you're hiring and the talent you're partnering with. So, if you're hiring talent, you need to ask yourself, from a succession point of view, can this person take over from me and carry my vision to the next level as I go and I engage in another opportunity? Okay? Now, let's segue into the systems. And this is very critical because one of you, I remember you explore, on your face, it was showing that you cannot scale up because of systems. Because when you imagine the kind of things that you have to put together to actually scale up to double your business, it sounded like a shocker. Now, systems for me are not just the operating system only. Systems come with many things. And one of the things that you need to remember is, it's very simple when you look at a system. It's the repeatable way your business delivers without you. So move from the S quadrant to the B quadrant. What do you need to do to move from the S quadrant to the B quadrant? And one of the best ways to test is just take leave for 2 days. Just switch off your phone and see what will happen. If your clients are complaining, just know, hey, clearly. And why are they complaining? And especially if you have somebody else who's supporting you. And in the gig economy, even if you're running a solo business, you should be able to access and have support on how you transition. It's not all the time that you have to hire a permanent employee. I'm sure you're aware of that, right? You can partner because of the gig economy, right? So some of the anchors when it comes to systems are, we just need to have clarity in terms of roles and expectations. Have clarity in terms of who is doing what when. And that is why I talk about the OKRs. Do you know what OKRs are? In terms of the objectives, what needs to be done, and the key results in terms of how we measure it. It's extremely more important because that is a smart way of identifying the picture of success in terms of what you're expecting your teammates to do. Very clear. So you don't have to keep kuwapanga kila siku. Yeah? So they already know what success looks like. So that's a smart way of doing it. The other thing is processes. Processes are critical. Critical. Especially, remember when I mentioned that today you can just wake up and let someone go? These are not the Donald Trump days of you're fired, the apprentice. Don't happen anymore. You cannot do that because you will be sued. So when it comes to processes, you must have policies in place. You must have SOPs, the standard operating procedures. Because if somebody challenges and say, I did not know this is how you wanted it to be done, what is your recourse? How do you challenge that this is what I expected to do because I don't have clear SOPs? So you must have this in place in your businesses. And I can tell you for free here, there are many consultants. But let me give you a quick consultant you can consult for free. AI. You guys are very lucky. Everything is on your fingertips. So what is the reason why you'd not have them? You have absolutely no reason why you cannot have a manual, an employee manual in your team. Go to AI and give it the right. And I've heard of so many digital people here in this room. Hapa too. And if there are any HR consultants watching this, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to take away your business. I just wanted to empower the young minds here. I'm extremely sorry. Please take my apology. The reality is the information is accessible to you. So it's not about expense. one employment lawyer, not lawyer, judge, who were meeting them with a friend of mine and trying to unpack what's going on in the employment industry today. And we just wanted to know exactly what is going on. And there are so many cases. And thank you. And she told me the reason why there are so many cases is because us HR people are lazy. We are not doing what we are supposed to do. We are not updating our policies. We have them, but we are not updating them to get attuned with what's going on. And you know what she said to me? That some of these young people, and these days kila kitu inaonea Gen Z. So some of the Gen Zs are actually going online, because you know those cases are public, right? Once a case, there's a ruling, it's public. They go there and they check how the judge ruled, and then they're working backwards. They're working their way backwards. So if I want this ruling, this is how I jipanga. So amtaki kupangwa, but munajua kujipanga. I see you guys. But that smartness, let's apply it in our own enterprises. Let's prepare ourselves. For me, I'm a firm believer of prevention is better than cure. Let's be proactive about it. You spend less time, because I can tell you, you do not want any litigation on your way. You don't want that. It will waste you. It will drain you. In my whole working career, 30 plus, I had my first litigation case 4 years ago. I used to pride myself of having no litigation case. But you know why I got that litigation matter? Because I trusted. A leader told me something which was not correct. Walinipanga. Na nikapangika. And so, I ended up going to court, but luckily we won the case. But I do not appreciate them, because I can tell you they strain me. And it's not good use of your time. Your time should be innovating, co-creating new things. So please be mindful of processes. And FYI, I hear these days you guys even resign with WhatsApp. That one who has laughed resigned with what? Did you resign with WhatsApp? Yeah, you see? No, but can I tell you the reality? Don't tell me you have a system because you have like a WhatsApp chat group with your team. That's not a system. It's a way of communicating, but it's not a system. I really want to emphasize that. It's a channel of communication, all right. I can tell you I was very defiant on it until 2 years ago, actually, in my current job. I was working with a very young leader. She was very good with VNs, because she used to move things very quickly. She's on the road, she would send you a VN. I didn't even know what a VN is. When the first day I was told a VN, I'm like, what's a VN? I was told a voice note. I had to get used to it. For me to send, and then I used to send a very long messages in return. Show me, no, VN. Let me tell you, I had to learn. My husband is here, he can tell you. I used to send it to myself. Then I listen to it, I say, okay, imetosha. I do take 1, take 2, take 3, then now I send. I wasn't used to it, but I had to get on with the program, because it saves time. Nobody has time to start reading. So she wants to listen to it when she's on the go. She's listening to my response. She would send me a VN, me a text, a WhatsApp back. She's like, no, VN. I had to learn. But it's not a system. It's a good mode of communication. But please, guys, let's be careful, okay? The third thing I'm just going to talk about, the automation. Automation is amazing. It helps with efficiency. It helps you to move things quicker. Invest in systems. And when I'm saying invest in systems, I'm not saying go get those major systems. Like, for example, if you want to take a recap of your meetings today, who writes notes? I don't even think those shorthand books are being sold anymore. Who writes notes until they're going to go and now start typing those notes? See, we have Copilot, we have Gemini, we have all this fancy stuff, right? So invest in systems. It will summarize for you, it will give you your takeouts, it will help you in terms of clarity, what was said in the meeting, even if you're not there. So you don't have to be in all meetings. You can delegate and delegate effectively because you have invested in systems. Does that make sense? So on this one of the things that I just wanted to leave with you is, when you standardize your processes and you automate and the roles are clear, it becomes a foundation. It becomes a foundation for sustainable scale. And one test you're going to do is look at all your businesses and ask yourself, from the time I get the lead, to the time I sell, to the time I deliver, to the time I pay, what role do I play there? If you are in all those touch points, iko chida. Iko chida. If you're manually interventing all that, there is a problem, because you're relying on self. You haven't automated. What are your checks and balances? Can you check yourself? What are your checks and balances? There's a reason why there's leader of opposition in our parliament, right? Who's your leader of opposition? Who will audit you when they come to audit you? What will they be auditing? Everything is here, institutional memory, right? Invest in systems. So, 2 reflection questions again for you to take home with you. Just check, what do you repeat every week that should be automated or standardized? Look at those routine things that you're doing. That's a quick way to start. What is it that you're repeating every week that you can that's a quick place to start, low-hanging fruit. And the second one is, if your best employee left tomorrow, what knowledge would disappear? And oh, unto you if your best employee is yourself. Oh, unto you if your best employee is yourself. Yeah? I'll leave that there. Somebody's getting a heart attack behind there. Okay, so let's move to the next one. And this is where we talk about strategy, right? See, we said not every opportunity is ours. And we said we have to say no. So then what is strategy? We all say we are strategic, we are strategizing. So we say that a lot. How do we define strategy? In your own words. You can leave that mild definition there. In our own words, what is strategy? And I like to ask this question because it's good to unpack these big words sometimes. You can just throw words. Let me hear. What is strategy? Sorry? A plan? Planning not to fail. Mm-hmm. Yes. A plan of action. An informed plan. A plan that gives you, that's the last time we're using plan, okay? Yeah? True north. Structure. Yeah. What's that? Intentional choices. All those things you've said is true. And in all these plans and everything, when you're reflecting in your mind, so then why can't you say no to leave money on the table if it's not in line with your plan? Why won't you say no? That's the question I have. It wasn't in your plan. You're doing digital marketing. Where was the digital marketers? There were many. You're doing digital marketing. Then somebody comes with a plan and says, let's go sell goats. And this deal is so simple, like when you're looking at it, you're thinking, guy, how can I broker this car deal? Are you selling goats in the beginning? Or are you going to digitize the goats? No, I'm just curious. Why won't you leave the money on the table? Will you leave the money on the table? Or you're going to quickly innovate overnight and become a farmer? So I'm just curious. Why won't you say no if you have a plan? Because I've had plan. Was it in your line of focus? You know? Because you must have a path. You must know where you're going. Right? That is what strategy is. Because when you look at them, you have a vision and a mission, right? Vision is more futuristic than the mission. But then, why are you drifting away from your plan? Because there is money involved. So where is it said that strategy is commercial, is money? I didn't hear anybody say that. I had somebody say choice, but what? Yeah? The money will help you actualize the plan. So you're going to say, wacha niende hapa kidogo. And meanwhile, in your business, who are you leaving to continue? We have just discussed. Who are you leaving to continue? Because if you have somebody to continue, that's perfect. But who are you leaving to continue if wewe ndo kila kitu, wewe ndo kusema? You leave siku moja. You can't take leave. And that's why I'm trying to train us and empower our minds. We need to prepare to move from the S to the B. You have to make sure you can step away from your business. Do you take vacation? You have to take vacation so that if now you get another business opportunity, you can say, remember that I'm saying, hire right. Hire someone who's smarter than you, who you can empower and you can trust to know this person can run this side of the business. This deal does not sound bad. You know, I worked in a creative agency for 4.5 years. I was leading the Scan Group HR function. And one of the things I asked, just allow me to segue, to veer off a little bit, to give this story, because it's important. It was the first time I was dealing with creatives. I had a creative in the house, but I was dealing with him as my son, right? But then now I'm dealing with creative directors who, kidogo, they've quit, they've gone and opened their own shop. So there's a time I was hiring for a very senior position. It was an executive creative director position. And I really wanted a Kenyan talent. I said, I'm not importing talent this time, because normally I'm a firm believer of build Kenya with Kenya. Normally. Most of the places I've worked, I've tried to leave that kind of legacy. So I said, no, I'm hiring a local guy. So I started calling all the former HR directors who worked at Scan Group. I called them. I asked them, wale watu wote walikuwa nafanya hapa kazi kama creative wako? Do you know I was given names, including some in Tanzania, but they're all running their own shop. But then when I look at their LinkedIn profiles, when they left at not a very senior position. Hawakuwa wametosha unga. But when I asked some of them who managed to talk to me, there were two who opened to me and they were vulnerable in this. I asked them, why did you leave? They told me the reason they left is I was working for this client, X. And you know, because you're given a client to manage. And client X, let me not cite any. A client, and this client, I'm the person who's on the account, blah, blah, fish cake. And you know, you're bringing in maybe 5 million to the organization because of you leading this account. And then the client figures out, you know what? If I work with you on the side, I could pay you half. And then you're thinking, the organization, if I'm bringing in 5M, it's not even paying me $500,000. And I'm bringing in 5M. It's not even giving me 10%. Now, if I'm getting 2.5, so that's 5x. So that math makes sense. Then I'm thinking, kama huyu mtu ameniamini hivi, and this is a top client, say I can get another who can do that. So then they say, mi nimetosha unga. They go and they open. Then unto them, after that big client, remember, sometimes these big clients come to you because of the name of the organization, not because of whatever. Then they start struggling. But then now they struggle there like a small enterprise. They don't have any other big account. So when I'm looking at their portfolio, haijatosha. So I asked another colleague to actually speak to them and say, guys, don't quit prematurely. Because now I'm looking for local talent I cannot get. I have to go to South Africa. I have to go to India because hawajatosha unga, the readiness level. So coming back to the plan. Sometimes we leave our plans prematurely because we have chased this money. But this money is not sustainable. So let's look at sustainability. And yes, you're right. You need that capital to push. But sometimes, remember my point of I value social capital more than financial capital? Me today, if you're giving me 100,000 and 3 people who will help me multiply this 100,000 versus you tell me I'm giving you 1 million to venture in something I know nothing about, me, I'll take the 100 Gs. Because I understand what this social capital can do. That money will multiply so fast and there is sustainability. This is one lesson I also want us to learn and take away. Sometimes let's not just jump into the money side of things and let it veer us off our vision. And that is where strategy comes in. The ability to say no. And saying no does not mean you're leaving the money on the table. You could say no by partnering. If I was the digital marketer, I would look for, your name, sorry? Felix? Eric. I would look for Eric and tell Eric, man, there's this deal of goats that have to go to Dubai. Nimesikia huko kuna ukame. Sasa, hii deal nikikupatia, how can we partner? It could be atanilipa ya macho. Si kuna hiyo pia, munalipo ya macho. Or Eric could say, by the way, I don't mind, even as I'm doing this, how about Sujui, you bring in your digital element and what, and we say, if Dubai can happen, how about Saudi Arabia? How about, and you get into a partnership thing. But I will not leave my core plan. I will see how do I partner. The ability to leverage on what is around us. Right? So you've not left the money on the table. You're just saying there's something called delayed gratification. But there is sustainability. Right? So I hope that makes sense. So in terms of strategy, we need to choose what to focus on and what to stop. And this comes even in our own spaces as individuals. You cannot be the one who chases the lead. You're the business development person. You're the same one who goes to prepare and deliver. You're the same one who's going to chase the payment. You're the same one. No. You have to, at some point, ask yourself, for me to scale, I cannot be everywhere. That is how I start to build systems. And that's how I strategize and say, I need to stop here. But for me to stop here, I need then to find the other gap. Remember, one of the questions I asked in terms of your leadership, what is the gap you have in your space that you need to close? So I'm hoping you're going to do a gap analysis, right? You'll do a gap analysis and identify what that gap looks like. The second thing you need to do is you need to then understand what is your USP. What is your competitive advantage? Your unique selling point. What is it that sells you? What is it that you do that remains top of mind, your TOM? You cannot be getting 10 things as TOM. What do you want to be known for? What is your legacy? What will be on your tombstone? Those are many questions, but meaning the same thing, right? So remember that. And the last thing here is what I said. By the way, my best friend normally says no is a complete sentence. How many believe no is a complete sentence? Guy, you guys are smarter than me. Me, I'm still in denial. I always feel the need to, I have to give context to why I have said no. She just says no. I say, guy, you're cold. No is a complete sentence. So, the discipline, it comes with discipline to say no. But let's think creatively. Let's understand how do we unpack and how do we collaborate. So, the final one on this, I'm just going to say this. Businesses scale when strategy is focused. Okay? Focused prioritization. Everything we do is important, but not everything is a priority. True? Everything we do is important, but not everything is a. So focused prioritization. People are aligned to just not what we do, but how we do it. And that's why the culture element comes in. Did I miss a slide on culture? I think I missed a slide on culture. I think I'll come back, yeah, because I've just remembered that. So it's important that we people are aligned on that. And then, let me just finish this. And then we are able to scale. Let's go back to culture. This culture piece is extremely important. And it's important because there's a particular slide on culture. Yes, there's a particular slide on culture. And the reason I pulled this out on its own, it's because you in this room here are the culture in your workspaces. True? They say the fish rots from there. Aki msende mseme niliwaita samaki. But you're the leaders. Okay, which one would you rather I call you? The goat rots from the head. No, the truth, it's actually a true saying. It rots from the top. So one day, let me tell you, I am full of stories. So one day I'm being hired into an organization, and then the founder tells me, and his reputation preceded him. He's somebody who's well known. I won't even say his name. He tells me, what culture are you going to create in this organization? No, actually, it's not him who asked me. He was seated in the room. It's one of the panelists who asked me, but the guy was seated in the room. Then I turned, I said, hold on. I've been asked the question. May I turn to the founder, who was very well feared. I asked him, what culture do you want to define in the organization? Then he told me, but the question was addressed to you. I said, no, I cannot respond to that question without hearing from you. Because you as the leader, it's your values, it's your beliefs, it's your behaviors that define the culture. So, you define the culture. Me, I support you. I am an enabler. I am a culture enabler as the head of people and culture. I will enable what you tell me. You want us to shout at people? Let's shout at people. You want us to do what? Let's do it. Okay, well, not exactly that, but the reality is culture is defined from the top. But what I have done effectively in my workplaces is I help unpack that culture and make it tangible. There's one organization I worked where when directors were going up the stairs, you'd see employees, anajifinya kwa kona, amwezi pitana. In that organization, one thing I wasn't there for long, I was there for 3 months, because trust me, I couldn't survive. One of the things I said is, I told them, never call me madam, and never call me by my name, Miss Bukachi. Miss, no, call me by first name. It was a shocker. This was an organization of over 4,000 employees. By the time I left, people were addressing each other by first name. By first name. It breaks down those barriers. Yeah? And I had to start with the leader, and I told the leader, no, they're not going to call you Dr. So-and-so. They will call you, and you know now people with those doctor titles, vile wamejichocha. I said, absolutely not. We are not about titles here. Unaitwa fulani. And I told him, walk the talk. And I can tell you, people started easing up. Even when you're going to have lunch, they would see directors on a table, they don't want to sit there. Culture starts from the top. So you define, and you have to role model. You're going to demonstrate the standards you want, what you tolerate, what you accept, the norms you create. You define the culture. You at the top, you the leader. So what culture are you creating? The other thing I want us to just figure out here is, while we said culture eats strategy for breakfast, when Peter Drucker said this, he was very smart when he said it. But somebody else came and infused the character part, and I'll get to that. So there is values in action, and that's why I said we have to make them tangible. There is psychological safety, so you need to create that psychological safety. Your teams need to know when they come and talk to you, you are approachable. You're not going to bite them off. There is no retaliation, so that you can actually get the truth. You can get authentic workplaces. Authenticity is one value that I really value. It is one of the things for me, I say, come as you are. And let me tell you what I normally tell my teammates, the people who report to me. Never, I'm going to use a word I don't know how to pronounce, regurgitate, like kurudiele nimesema, as Ayoti said. I keep on saying, if you're going to say as Ayoti said, zip it. Don't say it. Because what's happening is you lose credibility. Don't you have a voice of your own? You come and say what you want to say in the meeting. Don't repeat what I'm saying. Unless you're saying, let me build. So for me, it's very clear. I say you can use the word, let me build. But do not say, as so-and-so has said. Because what happens is you lose your true self. So that's extremely important as a leader. You have to model it from the top, right? And so consistency in what we do every day defines the workspaces we are in. And so that is where there's a question somebody asked around, how do leaders, I can't remember the exact question, but I actually put those pointers there because it was actually in response to a particular question around leaders and how they define, it was one of the questions. But we'll come to that, it's okay. How leaders demonstrate culture, or how they embed culture, I can't remember the exact words. And so this is one of the things, and how you can measure the culture. So just hire the right people. Remember we talked about hiring attitude and everything. So when you see those telltale signs early, red flags, nini, do your informal checks. Don't look at the referees put on the CV. Yeah, you can look at them for tick the box exercise. But ukitaka ukweli ya vitu kwa ground, find out where else this person has worked. You make phone calls. Again, going back to the power of social capital. You will know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows somebody there. Or just check them out on socials. You'll be able to understand. And kind of you can be able to tamper and see what sort of temperament they have. Then, focus on the how. Focus on the how so much because when you are rewarding performance, do not reward the what. Reward the how more. So I worked in this organization where people who had a higher how would have higher bonuses. So it used to be a 9 grid where what is what you have delivered, how used to be the values in the organization in terms of how you role model them, how you display them. So we used to call the people who get those high bonuses the how. And unfortunately, most of the hows happened to be, let me leave it there, this thing is going to be seen. Anyway, so the hows were those people, you know, those people who suck it up. Like those people who, the boss, the blue-eyed of the child, boss, nini, and I regurgitate, they say, as the boss said, what, those were the hows. But that how never used to work. It was not sustainable. It's not sustainable because it's short-lived, because you have no originality. When that boss leaves, your how has changed. So you become like a chameleon. You keep on changing, keep on evolving into something. Hata ujielewi. Now, the how is about behaviors. It's about role modeling and being consistent. And so when you reward this, the behaviors which you want to display in your organization, and you reward this, people know I have a tree there, but I'm not going to be a bulldozer. I'll get to that tree at the expense of everyone. Nitakanyagana watu kwa ground. I get there. Because that can be destructive. So reward the how. That is how you inculcate the culture in the organization. And now when it comes to character, it becomes the foundation, and that is where we say character had already strategy at dawn before culture woke up in the morning. Character is who you are. And guess what character is seen? When? You're under? Bas. Wewe ndio ule msee unajulikana vile uko. And we are all work in progress. Trust me, we are all work in progress. And that is where I have come to recently learn the power of EQ. You know what EQ is? Yes, emotional intelligence. Please, because I know you have access to all these online learning materials. There are so many organizations that are teaching on EQ. You can please check out and invest in EQ for yourselves. Make sure it's a training you do for yourselves, because I can tell you the world can be rough. The world can be rough. And when you're under pressure, the decisions you make can really take you down. Right? I have been around actually for more than the years most of you are, maybe. I've been working for over 30 years, 3 decades. And I can tell you, things have evolved. And the pressure today is worse than the pressure before. You know why? One of my former bosses, Dr. Julius Kipngetich, said this. Today, and we're in a forum, we're talking about mental health in a totally different forum. So I had somebody talking about a mental health ambassador. I think you're the one. The reason why mental health has become a reality is because of social media. The very thing that you post and you say, checking into my digs. And so you are coming out of somebody's house, checking into my digs. Then somebody else looks and says, why? And I don't even have a digs like that one. There's so much information coming your way. And then now with AI and everything, there's so much to consume. And the brain is the same one that even us we had when we were still doing typewriter. So things are moving very, very fast. So your ability to cope is compromised. And so why it is important to ground yourself and remain rooted, it's because you will empower your mind, which is a very powerful thing. The overflow of your mind comes from your thoughts, comes to your decisions, comes to your ability to take the right decisions at the right time, with the right people, connecting with the right people. So this is something I pray. If none of you has done a certification on EQ, please do it. Invest in it. Yeah? Now, so as I come towards the end, I think let's look at the reflections on strategy. We need to understand what's your business currently optimized for. There are 3 areas I just touched there. Are you optimizing for growth? Are you optimizing for profit? Or are you optimizing for survival? Are you just trying to make ends meet? Make sure I pay my rent for the whatever. Make sure I just... By the way, when you were setting up your businesses, did you do a business plan? I'm just curious. How many of us did business plans when we were starting our businesses? You did, eh? Okay, so this is a small percentage. How did you know your business plans were solid? Those who did business plans, how did you know they were solid? How much ChatGPT told you? Okay, so let me ask you, and this is not to shame anyone. Sorry, what's your name, sir? Minor. When ChatGPT told you it was solid, could ChatGPT give you the capital to start? So do you know how you do your DD, your due diligence on your business plan? Take it to the bank. Any bank, for free, walk in, give them. Go to another bank, give them. If they tell you they can give you money. Not that you need their money, but if they tell you they can give you money, the bank will not give you money when they know that is bad cash they're giving, they're bad debt, right? So I've given you another tidbit. Take it to the bank. If it is bankable, it is solid, you have a clear path, do not veer from it. If they tell you they will not give you money, ask the question, why? Why is a very powerful question. When you're doing your root cause analysis, you know the fishbone methodology of asking why to get to the root cause? Because the surface level answer is normally not the right answer. Go deep. Right? Okay. So, answer that question, please. And if you're here at survival, please re-strategize. Please re-strategize. Right? The many people in this room who are doing digital marketing, they have a strategic bone in them. True or false? It's hard to do digital marketing without having a strategic bone in you, like an advanced level of strategy in them. Leverage amongst yourselves. Unpack it. Do not spend too much time in a space where you're actually, I keep on saying you're jogging on the same spot. You have to move one step forward or go back. You know how you go back? You're not going back because you're retrogressing. You're going back so that you're becoming like a jet so that you can take off with ease and accelerate. So re-strategize. Don't sit there. The last thing is ask yourself this question. Which opportunity is a distraction wearing a growth costume? Again, I'm going back to my friend. Utasema no. And by the day you say your first no, please call me. The day you say your name is? Yes. We've said no before. Sasa why are you misleading us? You sounded like, wezi wacha pesa kwa meza. Eh? You are speaking for the ones who, if you're for a friend. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So which opportunity is a distraction wearing a growth costume? Growth in quotes. The deal looks too good to be true. I remember one day advising someone. When someone gives you a business opportunity that you can make money and you're just chilling, even to nasiati, you're putting your money in money markets or special funds. You know those people who call you at SG, oh, bring your money and it will multiply, we'll be giving you every week. Akima, not in a bad way. And by the way, if you're watching me, I'm saying you're a scam. Yes, you are a scam. Because let me tell you, it is even scriptural. By the way, I'm a believer, so I really rely on scripture. I'm one person who my true north is a God. So me, if it's not in scripture, it doesn't exist. Okay? Now here's the thing. You have to work. So something that you're being told you do, and there is no work you're doing, and the money is just coming, is not real. It's going to go down. Trust me, it will go down. So, growth costume. Assess, recalibrate, reposition, re-strategize. Okay? Now, we are closing. I love Maxwell, John Maxwell. And I love him because when I was doing my coaching, I did my first certification in coaching in 2016. Then I did one, that was with ICF. Then I did another one in 2019 with John Maxwell. One of the powerful things I have learned about this human is his level of humility. He's a very wise man, and he's written so many leadership books. Trust me, I'm not very good at turning pages, but I listen to audios and I listen to tidbits, so I learn a lot from him. And one of the things he has said is change is inevitable, but growth is optional. You have a choice today. You have the option. See by force. What is that song? See by force. See a must. See a must. See a must. I don't even know how it goes, but there's a song even. See a must. So you guys know that song? Yeah, guy, you guys are so bougie. You don't know that song of See a must? That song exists. We must put See a must. It is there. That is the one we are dancing to. You guys think I'm making this up? We are going to dance that song, See a must. I'm not making it up. Okay. So the last slide here, I think the last one I think is just for questions. Yeah, this is just questions. Yeah. So questions. Let's look for See a must. Because these guys are thinking, because I hear me, you believe I'm making it up. I am not making it up. There is a song called See a must.
Hello everyone. I hope mko fiti. Mimi naitwa Maina. I am a teacher. I teach people how to use technology. My question to you is, how do you know what is a growth costume or not? You get, yeah.
Okay. I can take one by one or that's okay. How do you know what is a growth costume? You see, we were talking about the plan. I don't know whether you were here when we were talking about strategy, and I had the plan. You were here, right? And so, in every business you do, right, ideally, and I'm saying using this word ideally because in my early days, me I used to wake up, I'm told, kuna shamba inanunulwa pale, kuna me, I was there. Until I decided, no. I had to identify, I actually had to do a vision board. And when I did a vision board, I did the class, I think it was like 5 sessions. I was able to identify which 3 pillars all my businesses need to be in. Just the same way I see the 5 pillars of ATIC. So you have to define what are the areas you will actually be in, and there's a reason why. And anything else that comes that is outside that becomes a growth costume for me. Because why am I growing? I'm growing to become financially free. I'm growing to become financially independent. And so if it's outside that, for me, it's a growth costume. Yeah? Follow up? Yeah. Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, Maina, your current gig today is not paying as much as you wanted it to pay, if I can rephrase what I've understood. And there's a customer segment that is not paying. So what you need to ask yourself is, why is it not paying? And by the way, guys, one of the things that is important, and that's why I really referred to Ikigai, let's not only do business because of the commercial outcome. This is what I say to teams that I manage and employees at the workplace. I say, do something that you're passionate about, that you feel some level of fulfillment. You know that self-actualization of Abraham Maslow? Do something that is in line with that, and let money be a byproduct. Because you'll still get paid anyway, but let it be a byproduct. But if the focus is the money, trust me, you will always have that mentality of it's not enough, because no money is never enough. And that's why me, on principle, I never double people's salaries. Even if your salary is very low, I'll put you on a catch-up plan. Because the moment you do that, I can't manage your expectations. You're assuming this is how it goes. The day I give you a 7%, 5% increase, utaona ni madharau. And yet that is the norm. So, in short, ask yourself why. And do a deep dive analysis of why it's not making money. Ask the right questions so that you get the right answers. And this is where coaching comes in very handy, because we ask thought-provoking questions for you to get your own answers. Because you said a particular customer segment. So why? And another quick way of you just checking is, are you the only one in that customer segment? Or do you have competitors? Are there other people who are doing it? Maina? And why are they still doing it? No, you don't have to answer. I think it's just for you to reflect. Why are they still doing it? It's the same way somebody will tell me, I can't open this business because there are so many other businesses doing the same thing. The question is, why are their shops open? That means there's something. And let's go back to the USP. What is your competitive advantage? Is it how you have priced yourself? Is it accessibility? You use the AVA principle. Accessibility, visibility, availability. Availability, stockouts, and things like that. Use that AVA principle. It's something that has helped me in most of my businesses. AVA. Accessibility, visibility, availability. Those 3. Answer those questions and see what you're able to unpack. And for sure, if it's come to the end, it's okay, but you will not leave prematurely. You follow? Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Steve.
Project? So I hear you.
Oh yeah, my name is Steve. I run a health tech company called Afya Dynamics. And you asked a question when we were starting, and you asked, for those people who have never been employed, how do we know about office culture? And for me personally, I had a habit of asking. So mostly from people I dated. So I dated corporate girlies.
Smart.
Yeah, so pillow talk would be like, and how do you, you know, but now the question is, so I have never been employed. In fact, even in campus, I didn't go for like attachment in an organization where I'd say I learned how corporates work. So I've had to learn that on the way, right? And I've had a problem with hiring, and you talked about hiring, right? And I still have that same problem. My best employees, one, we were hostel mates with a brother, and he knew I ran a check company and was like, my brother has just finished computer science. Can you hire him? The other one, my mom called me and she's like, you don't answer your phone. There's this girl. Let me connect you. And so those are the employees that have lasted. Any employee that I tried to hire myself, we just had issues and we broke off. Now I'm trying to hire again because I want to hire for a sales role. I want to delegate that part of my business. And I was just wondering, because I've had all these theories of how to hire, give people probation, don't pay them for the first 3 months if they, yeah. So I'm just wondering, what is the process that you would live by, knowing that like, I myself don't know who I'm hiring. I just know the overview. I don't have somebody who can vouch for them, like the brother who told me, you know, if Kikosana, I'll tell the brother because we're friends, right? So I'm just wondering, like, what is the true process that you know that will, at the end of the process, will give you the right employee?
Hi. So I have 2 questions. One is also about hiring. As a serial entrepreneur running 4 businesses, I found myself looking for a PA some time back. So also being in the situation where I cannot afford a professional PA, I went with the cheapest person. So I want to know, like, how do we go about it if you cannot afford to hire the best, like you said, and you just hire somebody who is available that you can afford? Number 2, my question is, running 4 businesses I have, like my recent 2 businesses are my favorite. I love doing that, but they are not making money, as in as much money as I would want to. But I find myself leaning more onto them because I love doing them. That is my CBO and my Christian store. My printing company is my main company. I have been running it since 2018. That is around 7 years, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. It is the one that imeniaka Nairobi, wacha niseme hivyo. It brings me good money. But I have found myself recently, like, sina psych with it, like, niko tu. So I'm putting so much onto these other 2, but indo inaleta pesa. So I currently asked myself, am I ready to give up on a business that I've built for 8 years? A business that is paying my bills, because it is doing good. To focus on what I love, what I'm loving doing right now, currently doing, the mental health and all that. So I'm torn between, like, should I really give up or what do I do? Yeah.
Thank you. Can I just maybe answer all questions related to hiring together? So then that way I deal with that. Any other question on hiring? Anybody with point of reflection on hiring? Okay. Not hiring. Let me focus on hiring first. My memory is bifurcated like that. That's why I'm running to write. Sitaki kusahau. Okay, so let's get to the hiring piece. And thank you for those 2 questions on hiring. It's a topic that is very delicate, and I'll tell you the delicacy around it. So there's a time I worked for 1,000 days, 3 years, consecutively, hiring. Nikapangwa, nikapangika, nikapangikana. uko. Because I was hiring for 16 countries when I was working for Nestle, when we were setting up the Equatorial Africa region. So I had all sorts of stories and tales from Angola, Mozambique, Zambia, all those countries. I was hiring for those countries, Kenya, Ethiopia, and all that. So one thing I've come to appreciate, and I do not blame anyone, human psychology is such that we tell people what they want to hear. Okay? We tell people what they want to hear because I'm trying to get this job for survival. Remember that strategy thing I was asking about, growth, profitability, survival? Even employees, when they're looking for that next best job, even if they were somewhere else, so it's not necessarily survival, what are they looking for? Greener pastures. Forgetting the water bills on this other side might be higher. Yes, you'll be paid more, but you'll be required to step up and bring in more. So to your question, it was Steve, right? And Julie. The hiring thing is a very interesting perspective where I say there are no guarantees, but do your due diligence. And that's why I said there are formal processes around hiring. You can choose to advertise for the role, or you can choose to ask for referrals, but never interview and hire the first person you have interviewed. That is what is called single sourcing. Very dangerous. What are you comparing with? What standards have you set? And if this person comes and ticks, remember they'll panga you, they'll tell you what you want to hear. But when you actually have met several candidates, and then the other thing also I will say is, interview when you're a panel. Don't interview alone. Perspectives. Get different viewpoints. And don't be a panel of 2. Try and be a panel of 3 so that there is a dividing vote. And identify what is the metric that you're going to use for scoring, so that it is clear, it is objective. It sounds like it's a lot of work, but those formalities save you later. So what will happen is, sometimes you get caught in, somebody says something, but somebody else in the same session will hear it different. I'm not a firm believer of one-on-one sessions. May I say, let's sit the 3 of us and then let's discuss. Because maybe the way I understood it is different from how somebody else saw it. And when the person is responding, and try and have face-to-face sessions. You understand how to read body language? In communication, what is the strongest way of communicating? There is normally the body, there is the tone, and there is the words. Which one has the highest percentage? Body, right? Why? Vile unajidwanyo hivi. Kuna kakitu. When somebody is leaning forward, you can tell the interest they have. When they lean back, you can tell, huyu ana shughuli. Huyu ako tu, whatever, man. There's like an attitude of, yeah, whatever, man, bring it on, I'll do it. Then the tone of the voice, the way they punch when it comes to specific topics, you will tell their areas of interest and what motivates them, what excites them. You can tell their passion and their curiosity. You can feel it and hear it and appreciate it. Okay? The words. Hizo utapangwa tu na ChatGPT. Right? It has the least meaning. Those 2 you'll read. So, if you're hiring for the first time and maybe you need that formal process, sit with somebody who has had success stories to accompany you in the session. HR consultants, this is where I sell your services. Now I'm back. There are clients here in the room. You can use a HR consultant to help you at a small fee. It's worth it, okay? Now, your question on hiring, Julie, sorry, I don't know whether I got it right, because I think I focused on him. Affordability. Guy, cheap is expensive. You've had that thing, which somebody said, one of these influencers, I'm not here to advertise anybody, so I'm not naming names. There's an influencer who said that they removed all their handbags from the wardrobe and they kept only 2 expensive bags. Do you guys, I know maybe people were too young, because it's a couple of years ago that person said that, maybe over 10 years ago. And they stopped buying those bags of 3K, 4K, what, and they just carry one bag of 20K. And it also saves them time. In the morning of changing all the time. And then, it gives you statement when you walk somewhere. So what I'm trying to say is, sometimes those people who come at a low price, they'll cost you. They'll cost you. So what you do, when you're hiring the right attitude, this person understands and connects with your vision. Pay them their value. They will bring back the value. And for many of you here in the room, this is not just addressing her only, especially now for you who's looking for a salesperson. Your best test of a salesperson, introduce an incentive scheme. Put majority of their pay on the incentives. Give them 40%, 60%, let them earn it. If they say no, they're not a salesperson. Don't hire them. This is free advice. Punch higher on the incentive. If they know, Nikileta, my salary is more, they will not sleep. They will not tell you they've gone to Mavoko and they're in their house Netflixing. They will go out and get the business, right? So look at the affordability and look at where is it you can be able to optimize to resource accordingly. Because one of the things is most of us here are Kenyans, right? I would assume. Haki Kenyans, we don't struggle with passive aggressive. Do we struggle? Ama we're just naturally passive aggressive. We now try not to be. And then secondly, we have the hustle mentality. You pay cheap, they're with you 8 to 5, but in that 8 to 5, they're with you for 2 hours. The rest, they're doing something else. And they don't have to be away from your office. They're seated right across from you. Kwa your laptop, wanafanya biashara yao. Is it worth it? That's just the question. So pay right, get value, hire the right attitude, hire value. Don't hire affordability. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Hi, I'm Bonaventure. So you've talked about 3 things. Talent, strategy, and systems. So since you've already addressed talent, I'll go with systems and strategy. So in the stages that I'm sure most of the companies and businesses here are, systems and strategy most of the time comes off as a buzzword, and most people don't know how to, rather what exactly is a system, what exactly is a strategy, as much as we've also tried to help us understand it. So my question is, can you give us an example? So let's say you want to sell sweets to everyone in here. What do strategies look like and what does a system look like in that context?
We're putting me on the spot. Okay, it will come at a fee, Rugu. We need to invoice this guy. Let me think quickly on my feet. You're trying to sell suits. Sweets, peremende. Okay, and you want a system and a strategy. So the system I will start with is, I need to know which type of sweets to sell, right? So what I will do Survey Monkey. Go online, and whoever is coming, I want to know their background. Then I want to know what do they prefer. Do they prefer to chew when the session is going on? Do they prefer to mumunya? Do they prefer lollipops? What is it that appeals to them? Because then I will be able to know in terms of my entry point. Yeah? So I'll use Survey Monkey to get my research. So I'll get information. Research is key, guys. Research is key. Always arm yourself with information. I keep on saying information is the best ammunition whenever you're going into a battle. If you're going into to discuss for those employees who are here, you're going into a disciplinary case, you're going into whatever, get your data, get your facts right, okay? Then, in terms of a system, then I have to also ask myself, how am I going to do the selling? Will I sell when they come in? Will it be part of the package? Will I be putting it as part of the, what do you call it, the payment fee that they pay when they're coming? So that is one way. So then I negotiate maybe a discounted rate with the person who's charging to whatever. That is one of them. Now, when it comes to strategy, my question is, why am I selling it here? What is my aim? What is my value proposition? Why am I selling those sweets here? Is it because these are my target audience, or is it because I'm coming to sample here? Maybe I already have my particular type of sweets, and so I want to come and test. What is it that I'm aiming to achieve? Because strategy gives you your line of focus. It tells you where you need to be going. It gives you what we have had here, the plan. So why is it I'm selling here? So then I need to understand, is this even the right audience? And what is it even giving me? Is it just giving me part, or is it because I want to use them as my marketing tool? So that waseme by the tulikula zile peremende zilikuwa tamu, this is where you find them. What is it that I am aiming to achieve? So that becomes part of my strategy. Tunaenda lakini hatujafika, but we are in that line of thought. So we need to understand, where do I need to go and how, the vehicle of getting me there. Yeah? Are you convinced, or you're just saying yeah? The system. The system is, so systems are many things. So systems include processes, they include your ability to get information that will help you to document and to help you in your tomorrow. Basically, future-proofing your organization. That is part of the system. So when I was going back to the SurveyMonkey, you know what the SurveyMonkey is, right? You know what? Monkey Survey, SurveyMonkey, it's normally one of those two. SurveyMonkey, you know what SurveyMonkey is? How to get information, how to get data, how to get intel. It will help me to be able to know, did this plan work or not? So that is a system to help you. How am I getting this information? What am I building? And systems are not built overnight. They are built with time. So that is one of the systems I just quickly thought of my feet and said, for me not to come with all my sweets here, let me come with what I know will be able to be offloaded. It's the same way you will go and you find these booths in churches where they sell specific things. Do you carry all your stock from your shop? So you will go with specific things. How will you know what you're going to take there? You must do some market study to appreciate, some research. What is it people are likely to like? Yeah? And also part of the system could be, you could go online and check, in this age demographics, what is it they're likely to appreciate? So that you're not having stock that is dead stock because you came with it, it did not go, and then you wonder, now what do I do with it? So that's part of the system. It helps you to navigate your path. Yeah? Exactly. And it gives you the long-term plan. So strategy is not one-off. And also strategy helps you to challenge your thinking. Yeah? Because what you thought was it might not be it. And what are you solving for? Right? You need to understand, what are you solving for? Yeah? Okay.
All right.
So the,
and move quickly. Great. Hi.
Okay.
My name is Faith. I wanted to compliment you, first of all. Your talking pace is so good. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks.
So I wanted to ask, let's say either as a co-founder or in my case where I freelance, if let's say the person's goal is commercialization, but for you to make a difference, when do you know when to leave or just to survive that season? How do you make that choice?
sorry, just repeat, to commercialize or?
Yeah, like let's say we are founders. He wants to go like commercialization, focus on the money, but aren't focus, let's say, more on calling and growth. And so we keep on like knocking heads. Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you know this is a season to survive versus this is my time to leave?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I answer that question, just linking it together with Julie on your question around the printing and the other CBO, your purpose-driven kind of connection? So this is kind of somewhat similar, right? So I am a firm believer of complementarity of thinking. And so there's a time in my early career times, I used to be a gender champion. And my role, part of my role within the many things I used to do, was to ensure that at every boardroom table, there is at least 30% of female representation, because you'll find a lot of female employees in the office, but not many at the C-suite level where decisions are being made. And so why am I starting with that context? Today, when you, Julie, in your mind, you're having these two things, this purpose, and then there's this other thing that's bringing in the money. And for you, your partners, you're looking at, one is looking at commercial, another one is looking at calling. The reality is we need to find the point of intersection in both cases. And the point of intersection could be your divergent views are not necessarily opposing factors. Your divergent views are not necessarily opposing factors. So what you need to understand, are you still in line with your mission? What was your mission? Is the mission still aligned, or is there a mission drift? If there is a mission drift, that fundamentally changes the current strategy or the next strategic cycle, then you reposition, right? So it's all about fundamentally going back to the beginning. What is it you hoped to achieve? Julie, what is it you hoped to achieve? And if you feel, and you will know, because you will get the peace that surpasses human understanding, to connect, and you will not be conflicted. Again, I'm a firm believer there is times and seasons for everything. It does not mean if you're parting ways, you have to be enemies. The season could be over. There is a reason and a season for everything. Maybe that partnership was meant to be there for that time, and you have leveraged and optimized to the brim. And so you reposition, partner with somebody else, and they reposition and partner with somebody else. And it's okay. But you have to go back to the beginning. Did you achieve your fundamental truth? And in your case, the same thing. If you're feeling unsettled about the printing and whatever, you need to ask yourself. You know, today there are people who actually set up businesses just to sell. There are people who actually are very clear on that. They don't set up these businesses to keep, they set up to sell. So you have to ask yourself, do I feel I'm not feeling this thing anymore and so I'm not passionate, I have the clients and everything? You can sell the business and reposition. There's nothing wrong with it. And so sometimes we don't sever ties. We have to just separate amicably, because remember of the power, I will keep preaching this, the power of social capital. There is a reason why that person connected with you at that time. They were a destiny helper maybe for that season, and maybe their time is over. And so it is okay. Okay? Yes.
Hi. So, first of all, you look very stylish. When I grow up, I want to start being as stylish as you. I'm just
you.
impressed by how stylish you are. Mm-hmm. But I have a question. It's on the quadrant. So, I have studied it for quite some time. And I've also had the privilege of being in all 4 quarters of the quadrant. My opinion is that it heavily depends on your personality. It's very subjective. It's not an objective thing that, you know, in life you have to be a business owner, for example. For some of us, maybe we were just born to be good employees, and we will make very good employees for the rest of our lives, and we will live very fulfilled lives, you know.
Yeah.
Some people are just born to be investors, etc., but it's just a theory.
Yeah.
So now, my question is, there's a very specific archetype of people that I found interesting, who I think are mostly self-employed, but they could be called artists. Van Gogh, Picasso. They're people who really did great work, but they were not really business owners. They didn't really manage people, because mostly they're also horrible at people. Look at Gordon Ramsay. He can make very good food, but when it comes to people, he is horrible. But he is really one of a kind, you know, like an artist. How would such people navigate culture and people? Because one, they are very bad at people, but they are very good artists. I mean, whatever it is they do really stands out. And if they are not there, things don't work. You don't get the Mona Lisa if there's like a team of people painting. It just has to be this person with the brush, and just let them do their thing. But how do these people go about the whole culture and people thing? Because yes, they are not really business owners. They are not employees. They are artists. So maybe we could put them as self-employed, because without them, the whole thing doesn't work. But how will these archetype of people navigate people and culture?
Perfect. So what's your name?
My name is Maloba.
Maloba.
Yes.
So Maloba, this is what I'll say. Now, the reality is there are those people, and they're there. And even at the workplace, we call them the box 7 type of employees, those individual contributors. You're very good at what you do. And you know, a lot of leaders have to manage results through others, right? That's why I kept saying, hire people who are smarter than you. Now, how I would say this is, managing people is a skill. And it's not necessarily innate. It could be innate for some people, but it doesn't have to be innate. You can actually learn it. But again, see a must. How I look at it, I say, in the element of partnerships and collaborations, I would encourage, if you feel that this is a big strain, and it's something that really takes you away from your comfort zone, and if you're not in a partnership, let's say you are a sole proprietor, you own the business by yourself, you could actually have one of your people within the team elevate them to that position of leadership. Just very recently at my current workplace, I introduced something I called a co-CEO model, because I realized you can actually have 2 people sitting at the top. And I started reading a lot about it. And so one of the things you can actually look at and say, I'm going to be here, I'm behind the scenes, I'm the one who does the pieces, but this takes a lot from me. And it takes away my creative juices. So I'm going to elevate somebody within the team to actually manage everybody here. And you call them your chief operations person and that kind of thing. To actually manage, and you get somebody who's very good at it. And it goes back to the question, I don't know whether you are here when we showed the slide on, what is that leadership gap you have within your team? could be it. And it's okay, because I know, and I'm very much aware, for some people, it's just going to be absolutely uncomfortable. And we talk about approachability. This person is just going to be, you know, that person who's in a bad mood all the time. And simply because you came when that creative thing was coming, sasa umekuja kumsumbua. And that is not what you want. So you can optimize on teams. So you can elevate somebody within the team. And if you're working solo and you just have only one other person, then what you do is that person you hire somebody, mtu wa kujituma. Sorry, I talk a lot of Swahili. Hire somebody who has the initiative, somebody who doesn't have to be managed closely, micromanaged, so to speak, if you're just a team of two. So there is a possibility of doing that. So when you're hiring, look for somebody who is self-driven, who is independent, who is able to work autonomously. So you look at the hiring, go back to the beginning. Somebody recently told me, it never goes wrong. It started wrong. Right? So I will close with that.